An hour ago, I listened to a secret recording of my son-in-law calmly explaining to my daughter that her memory is failing, that the things she sees aren't real, that she is, in his words, coming apart. This isn't about a bad marriage. This is psychological warfare, and my daughter is the battlefield. In my left hand, I hold the evidence, the recordings, the text, the proof they could free her, but ruin the life of her child. The path of ruin. In my right, I hold a photograph of their family, the last one taken before the manipulation began. Her husband smiling, her daughter trusting, and my granddaughter perfect and innocent. The path of mercy. To save my daughter's mind, I might have to destroy her daughter's world, and you have to tell me what to do. Mark was always a charmer. When my daughter, Sarah, first brought him home, he was the picture of confidence and ambition. He talked about building a future, about cherishing her, about family, and for a while, I believed him. We all did. The change was so subtle, so gradual, that at first you dismiss it. You tell yourself you're imagining things, which I now realize was precisely his goal. The first time I felt that cold knot of unease was about a year ago at my granddaughter's birthday party. Sarah had spent weeks planning a beautiful garden party. On the morning of, she called me in a panic. "Mom, I can't find the custom banner I ordered. It was here yesterday, I swear. Am I losing my mind?" I calmed her down, told her it would turn up. Later, after the party, I found the banner tucked away in the garage under a pile of old newspapers. When I showed it to Mark, he sighed with that practiced look of concern he'd perfected. "Poor Sarah," he said, shaking his head. "Her stress levels are really getting to her. She's been so forgetful lately." He made it sound like a medical diagnosis. 3 months later, there was the incident with the investors. Mark had a critical dinner meeting for his startup, and he had asked Sarah to email a key presentation to the attendees an hour before they arrived. I was at their house that evening, babysitting Lily. I saw Sarah attach the file and send the email. I saw the confirmation on her screen. The next day, Mark came home furious. "You caused me the deal, Sarah," he boomed, his voice echoing through their cavernous living room. "You never sent the presentation. They thought we were unprofessional, unprepared." Sarah was devastated, insisting she had sent it. "Honey," Mark said, his voice now a low, patronizing purr as he held her, "I checked your sense holder. There's nothing there. It's okay. You've just been under so much pressure. We all make mistakes when you're overwhelmed." He made her doubt the evidence of her own eyes. Weeks later, while helping Sarah with her laptop, I found the email in her trash folder. The timestamp showed it had been deleted just minutes after she sent it. Someone had erased the proof. These were not isolated incidents. They were data points in a horrifying pattern. He would move her keys and then help her search the house for an hour, sighing about her fading memory. He would deny conversations they'd had, shaking his head with a sad smile and saying, "Sweetheart, we never talked about that. Are you sure you're feeling okay?" He was meticulously dismantling her reality, piece by piece, replacing her confidence with a gnawing, constant anxiety. He wasn't just gaslighting her, he was erasing her. And I, her mother, a retired therapist who had spent 30 years helping people navigate trauma, had been watching from the sidelines, held back by the fear of being the meddling mother-in-law. But that fear evaporated when he began to corrupt what was most precious. The real crime, the one that makes my blood run cold, is what he did to Lily. My granddaughter is a bright, joyful 7-year-old who adores her mother. Last month was her school play. Lily was the lead narrator, and she had been practicing her lines for weeks. Sarah had marked the date in her calendar, a huge circling Lily's big day in red ink. The day before the play, the school sent a reminder email about the time change. The performance was moved from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. That next evening, Sarah rushed home from work, arriving at the school auditorium at 6:45, Lily's costume in hand, only to find the hall empty and dark. Lily, who had been waiting backstage with her teacher, was inconsolable. That night, Sarah wept in my arms. "How could I have missed it, Mom? It was on the calendar. I know it was. I feel like I'm failing her." Mark showed them both, his face a mask of sorrowful understanding. "It's not your fault, my love," he whispered to Sarah. "You're just trying to juggle too much. Maybe we need to think about simplifying your schedule for your health." And then he turned to my weeping granddaughter. "Mommy has just been a little forgetful lately, sweet pea." He planted the awful seed in that little girl's head. Mommy is broken. 2 days ago, I installed a voice-activated recorder in their living room. A breach of privacy, I know, but a mother's instinct is a powerful, primal thing. I couldn't watch my daughter's slow erasure any longer. This afternoon, I listened to the recording. It's Mark explaining to Sarah why the $500 he took from their joint account isn't missing. She just forgot she'd given it to him for a business expense. Her voice is so small, so full of doubt. And in this moment, holding this damning proof, I know what he's doing is not just cruel, it's evil. And it has to be stopped. The only question is, at what cost?
But then there is the garden. It's a small patch of earth behind their house, a chaotic but joyful explosion of tomato vines, rambling roses, and defiant sunflowers. I taught Sarah how to garden when she was a little girl, just as my own mother taught me. It was our thing, a legacy passed through soil-stained hands. Last spring, the three of us, me, Sarah, and Lily, spent a whole Saturday planting a new herb garden. I remember Lily, her small face smudged with dirt, carefully placing a sprig of mint into the ground. "Like this, Nana?" she asked, her eyes wide with concentration. And Sarah, my competent, brilliant Sarah, knelt beside her, patiently explaining how the roots needed room to breathe. "You have a gift for this, my love," Sarah told her daughter, her voice full of pride. "A real green thumb, just like your Nana." There was such uncomplicated joy in that moment, a straight, unbroken mine of love and knowledge passing from one generation to the next. The memory is so vivid, so real. But when I brought it up last week, trying to remind Sarah of her own skill, she just looked confused. "I don't think I've ever gardened, Mom," she said, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. "Mark says I'm terrible with plants." He is not just stealing her present. He is rewriting her past, erasing the memories that form the very bedrock of who she is. And he's erasing my legacy in her, my connection to my own grandchild. The easy thing, the just thing, would be to burn his world to the ground with this evidence, to expose him for the monster he has become. But Mark wasn't always a monster. That's the part that complicates everything. The memory I keep pushing away because it makes this choice so much harder. When my husband Michael died 5 years ago, it was sudden. A heart attack that took him in his sleep, leaving a void in my life so vast I thought it would consume me. I was a wreck. For weeks, I barely functioned. I forgot to eat. I couldn't sleep. I would just sit in his favorite armchair, staring at a wall, lost in a fog of grief. Sarah, bless her heart, tried to help, but my pain was so raw, it was like a wall between us. She didn't know how to reach me. It was Mark who broke through. He started showing up at my door every morning on his way to work. He never said much. He'd just make a pot of coffee, put a slice of toast in front of me, and sit in the kitchen reading the paper in silence. He created a small, predictable ritual in the chaos of my grief. One morning he found me crying over a box of Michael's old photographs. I expected him to be awkward, to make some clumsy attempt at comfort. Instead, he just sat on the floor beside me, picked up a photo of Michael and me on our wedding day and said, "He told me once that the day he met you was the first day he understood what it felt like to be truly home." And then he just sat with me for nearly an hour as I told him stories about the man I had lost. He listened. He didn't offer platitudes or easy solutions. He just bore witness to my pain. That act of simple, quiet empathy was a lifeline. For months, he was the rock, not just for Sarah, but for me. He showed a depth of compassion I never would have expected. And I have to ask myself, what happened to that man? Did he disappear completely? Or is he buried somewhere beneath this cruel, calculating strategist? If I destroy the man he is now, am I also destroying the memory of the man who once showed my family such profound kindness? For 30 years, as a therapist, I helped people find their way back to the truth. I believed, and still do, that the truth, no matter how painful, is the only foundation upon which a healthy life can be built. But I was dealing with adults who came to me seeking that clarity. My granddaughter did not ask for this. My daughter is so lost in the fog of his making that she doesn't even know she needs to be found. What is the greater harm here? Do I detonate the bomb of truth, shattering the illusion of her happy family, breaking her husband, and leaving my 7-year-old granddaughter to navigate the rubble of a broken home? The collateral damage of that choice would be immense and unpredictable. Or do I choose the path of slower, more insidious harm? Do I stand by and watch my daughter's mind be methodically dismantled, her confidence eroded, her very sense of self chipped away day by day until there is nothing left of the vibrant woman she once was? This isn't a choice between right and wrong. It is a choice between two kinds of devastation. The role of a mother is to protect her child. But what do you do when protecting her from one monster means feeding her to another?
If I choose the path of ruin, it is a clean, swift stroke. I take the recordings to my daughter. I play them for her one by one. I show her the deleted email, the evidence of his manipulation, the timeline of his psychological abuse. The immediate effect will be catastrophic. Her world, the safe, loving marriage she believes she has, will detonate. Her trust in her own judgment, already so fragile, will be obliterated. She will be forced to look at the father of her child and see a predator. He, in turn, will be exposed. His carefully constructed image as a devoted husband will crumble. Professionally, socially, his reputation will be destroyed. There will be a brutal divorce, custody battles. Lily will be thrown into a vortex of anger and confusion, forced to choose sides, her childhood defined by the moment her family imploded. It is a path of fire and scorched earth, but from those ashes, Sarah can begin to rebuild. Slowly, painfully, she can reclaim her mind, her reality, her sense of self. She will be free from his control, The poison will be removed, though the wound will scar her forever. If I choose the path of mercy, it is a path of shadows and quiet resistance. I keep the evidence to myself. I do not confront him directly, not yet. Instead, I begin my own counter-campaign. I re-enter their lives not as a passive observer, but as a subtle force of truth. I find excuses to spend more time with Sarah, rebuilding the confidence he has eroded. I will discover her lost items. I will corroborate her memories, reinforcing her grasp of reality. I'll create a diary of events, a log of shared memories, giving her an external anchor when he tries to make her doubt herself. I will re-engage her in the garden, a place of her own competence and strength. For Lily, I become her fiercest protector. I ensure she spends time with a mother who is validated, praised, and seen. I counter his insidious narrative about mommy being forgetful with constant reminders of Sarah's strength and intelligence. The risk is immense. He may discover what I am doing and retaliate, turning Sarah against me even more decisively. I could be watching a slow-motion psychological tragedy, intervening in small ways, but ultimately powerless to stop the final erosion of my daughter's sanity. It is a path of hope, but also a path that may lead to the same devastating end, only more slowly, more painfully. In the end, it comes down to this. In my left hand is the swift, brutal surgery of truth. It will be painful, bloody, and traumatic, but it offers the chance of a cure. In my right hand is the slow, palliative care of hope. It avoids the immediate trauma, but offers no guarantee of recovery. It may only prolong the suffering. I look at the two objects in my hands, the smartphone, a cold, hard piece of technology containing the proof that could set my daughter free, but at the cost of her child's world. And the photograph, a warm, fragile piece of paper representing a piece that I now know is a complete and utter lie. A truth that destroys or a lie that preserves a poisoned piece. Which one is the act of a loving mother? Which one is the ultimate betrayal? My daughter's mind is locked in a prison, and I hold the only two keys. One demolishes the prison walls, exposing her to the harsh, unforgiving light. The other makes the cell a little more comfortable, but leaves her locked inside. Tell me, in the comments, which path do I choose? What would you